When I first heard the district of Fort St. James was going to spend $3.5 million on Spirit Square, I didn't believe it. Then I found out they had already bought the property next door, hired a consultant, and that the consultant had just presented the district's Spirit Park concept plan to the public at a recent community meeting. Let me read to you what the new Spirit Square will be like. This vision for Spirit Park not only aims to enhance the quality of life for current residents, but also positions Fort St. James as a destination for visitors, bringing energy and vitality to the downtown core. As we look to the future, this park will be a testament to the power of community collaboration and the shared goal of creating a brighter, more inclusive, and sustainable place for everyone. What do you think their chances are in pulling this off? Spirit Square will be a destination for visitors. Sure it will. Who writes this stuff? Spirit Park will become Spirit Square in no time at all, and to think any different, you must either be from out of town or a member of council. They want to build a large stage for community performances with a ceremony space. Not sure what that is. Must be a city thing, as we're not much for ceremony in Fort St. James. Anyway, a ceremony space with theater seating. Anyway, a ceremony space with theater seating. I know what you're thinking. Don't we already have a stage area designed to host events that celebrate the arts, culture, and heritage of Fort St. James and its First Nations? Why, yes, we do. At Cottonwood Park. Wouldn't it make more sense to fix up the Cottonwood Park stage? We could put the ceremony space and theater seating there too. You'll really get a kick out of this new Spirit Park feature. A water access trail with lakeshore access. This is a zigzag footpath down a steep embankment to reach the edge of Stewart Lake. Make sure you take your gumboots with you, however, as you could have to walk quite a ways out in the mud before you actually reach the water. Or you could go to Cottonwood Park. I make light of this, but I don't think it's funny. Clearly, council is already heavily invested in the Spirit Square site, and if they pull this plan off, Cottonwood Park and Cottonwood Beach won't see any money spent on them for years to come. A big part of the $3.5 million is to stop the erosion of the bank on the Spirit Square site. Why? All lakeshore lots are affected. Do the same thing they are doing. Nothing. Just build a safety fence and give up on the idea. You might find it hard to believe, but we have kind of had a little bit of a policing problem at Spirit Square in the past. So forgive me if I think that there could be just an ever so slight possibility that after we spend $1 million or $3.5 million on the Spirit Square site, we will have the same problems we've had there for the past 15 years. Let me ask you, if you had $3.5 million, would you spend it on Spirit Square? I wouldn't. My first choice would be for a water treatment facility to improve the quality of the Fort water, so I didn't have to buy a coffee maker every 2 years, and my hot water didn't smell like, anymore. I would give Cottonwood Park and Cottonwood Beach the upgrade they should have had years ago. What about a sidewalk all the way up Elm and down Douglas? I'm sure we could come up with quite a list if we were asked. Why were we not asked? Council needs to do now what they should have done before they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hold a public meeting to explain their vision for Spirit Square and receive public input. Simple as that. I didn't attend the community meeting, but I certainly had a thing or two to say about the concept plan, so I wrote the district a letter. Here it is. I added some pictures to make it easier to understand. Enjoy.
Newsflash. Fort St. James to spend $3.5 million on Spirit Square.
Text of a letter sent to the District of Fort St. James dated October 31, 2024, at 9:53 on October 15. The District of Fort St. James posted on Facebook a notice that a community meeting to review the draft site designs for a proposed Spirit Square revitalization project would be held on October 16 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the community center. I did not attend the meeting, however the Facebook posting thread generated 118 comments providing a wide range of opinions, and it was clear to me from these comments that many local residents were as unaware as I was of how far along District Council appeared to be on a multi-million-dollar project in the heart of our community. In addition, no one was aware of any town hall or information session that the district may have held to explain to residents their vision for this project and to allow council members to gauge what the level of public support for the revitalization of Spirit Square might be. The matter of shoreline stabilization at that site has been an issue for at least 2 decades, and multiple district councils had, since 2009 when I understand Spirit Park was initially opened, chose to not deal with the issue. I was aware that Stantec had been engaged in 2021 to conduct test drilling and provide the district with an engineered solution to the sloughing bank/erosion problem. However, the proposed concurrent redevelopment of the Spirit Square site was news to me and many on Facebook as well. I downloaded the Stantec concept plan and initially reviewed the park design timeline to see when the public had been or would be given the opportunity to let council know what they thought of the project design, but also to find out if members of the public thought that revitalization of Spirit Square site was needed or even wanted. The October 16 meeting appears to be the only instance when council intended allowing members of the public to express their opinions on the proposed project. Not however to council members directly but to the Stantec design team, but it was council that initially provided project design direction to Stantec, so providing my comments to Stantec now appears to be nothing more than a way of district council insulating themselves from potential negative public opinion, and that the meeting notice was posted less than 24 hours before the meeting start time says to me that council is simply ticking the required public consultation box without actually talking or listening to the public. This Spirit Square project has been on the council drawing board for at least a year, as evidenced by the district purchase of the 2 adjacent lots for $300,000 in 2023, and yet we had heard nothing about the project prior to the October 15 Facebook posting. The project has 2 components, slope stabilization and a site upgrade, and all we know of the projected costs so far are, in 2022 $1 million was budgeted for slope stabilization alone, and in 2024 $2.3 million was budgeted for stabilization of the 3 lots. In August 2024 it was reported the cost of stabilization and regreening the area would be $3.5 million. Let's talk about stabilization of the slope. I would suggest that it would have been impossible for anyone who sat on any district council over the past 20 years to not know about the erosion issue that has plagued all lakeshore properties, including the View and the historic park site. The district office and library that was at one time situated on the Spirit Square site suffered fatal erosion damage to its foundation, and as such no one can claim they didn't know about the problem, but in spite of this, no past council chose to spend money on the problem. In hindsight, the $179,000 remediation proposal that was presented to, and turned down by District Council in 2019 looks very attractive now when compared to the 2024 budgeted figure, which has mushroomed to $2.3 million, as it now covers not 1 but 3 lots. Did Council consider when they were purchasing the 2 adjacent lots last year that they were doubling the length of the sloughing bank that would need remedial action and significantly increasing the cost to do so? Why would they choose to double the size of a problem that the district has had for over 20 years? What were council members thinking? In my opinion, spending any appreciable amount of money at this late date to potentially stabilize the now 3 lakefront lots is the wrong decision to make. What will spending the $2.3 million protect? It's not like there's a building on the property, that boat has already sailed. And I can safely say that the adjacent property owners will not be spending millions of dollars to protect their foreshores, so how effective can our remedial efforts be if the properties on either side continue to erode? This project has the potential to quickly become a financial black hole with unexpected expenses such as the recent $70,000 cost for an archaeological site survey becoming a regular occurrence. Let's cut our losses now. Build a safety fence and call it a day. The $2.3 million can and should be spent elsewhere. The site upgrade is a different issue. By proposing to spend $1 million or more on this site now and who knows how much more in the future, the concept plan shows the adjacent Conexus property as potential lot integration. Council is effectively saying that going forward the Spirit Square site is more important and its development has a higher priority to Council than Cottonwood Park. Cottonwood Park and Cottonwood Beach is in my opinion the jewel of this community, and I find it sad its further development has not been the priority of Council's past and is apparently not a priority of the current Council either. In 2009 when Spirit Square was initially opened, I am sure that Council of the day was as optimistic as Stantec is in their concept plan that Spirit Square would be a community gathering nirvana to be enjoyed and celebrated by all residents. 15 years later, how's that worked out? The following are excerpts from notes from our CMP meeting and town walk through April 5, 2023. Walls in front of bathrooms at Spirit Square allow gathering/concealment behind wall. This wall also used as concealment for other activities including assaults. Large metal boats in Spirit Square, primary cause of concealment and consumption of drugs and alcohol in town center. Electrical outlets on light poles in town center, Spirit Square and other buildings in town center and library create gathering places. Shutting off certain outlets eliminates gathering and loitering in specific areas. Let's see what the public thinks of Spirit Square, from their Facebook comments. Anita Willock. I was there when the village was removing the bricks/base under the canoe exhibit. The druggy needles were being tossed there and lodging between. Linda McInnes. Never did like going there. Seems like a place one would not be safe to visit. Annette Murphy. Regardless of what is done and what money is spent, unless it is regularly monitored with cameras etc., and foot patrols, I am afraid that it won't be a safe place for general public use. Elk Taylor. Scratch your plan to revitalize this area, it's had enough public dollars spent on it. Surely $2.5 million is overkill, this is bad planning. Carmen Balinsky. This has had huge controversy over it for years, let's take a vote. Make sure people remember how much this area has cost us in all the years. I would suggest that the following comment says it all. Kylie Prince. As a young adult who's going to be the next generation in Fort St. James, it just seems more beneficial to leave it as is, and put the money to something more useful to the community instead of putting all that money into something people don't even use on a daily basis. The only time I see people in Spirit Square is Remembrance Day, Christmas, and farmers markets. Yeah, maybe these plans might make people feel more welcome to hang out there, but it might also just be a new shiny thing for 1 month, then boom. If Council is to convince the public that spending a significant sum of money on the Spirit Square site is a good idea, they must first convince us that the downtown core problem has been addressed and that it will be different this time around. The more you make the space attractive to residents, the more you make it attractive to those elements that dissuade residents from wanting to go there. Spirit Square will continue to be considered by many residents as an unsafe space regardless of how much money is spent there or how much lipstick you put on it. It is clear that many of those in the community do not share Council's vision for the Spirit Square site, and should Council choose to move ahead with their plan without true public input, they do so at their peril. Let's now review the concept plan, which has added to the site as new features a stage/ceremony space, a lookout point, an access point to the lake and a larger parking lot. The open space grass area, open space picnic area and farmers market areas are more or less the same as we currently have, nothing new here. The lookout point could easily be incorporated into a new safety fence built on the existing site. The stage/ceremony space, however, simply does not belong at the Spirit Square location. in any form, and its inclusion will undoubtedly attract even more of the undesirable elements that dissuade people from wanting to go there. The limited available parking and the compressed nature of the ceremony space will limit the number of people that would or could want to be in front of the large stage. The large metal boats in Spirit Square, which the RCMP identified as the primary cause of concealment and consumption of drugs and alcohol in town center, were on the recommendation of the RCMP lifted up off of the ground on steel poles to allow a sight line underneath from the street. Will the large stage be similarly lifted up off the ground? Did you review with the RCMP the idea of building a stage at Spirit Square? I doubt that you did, as I am quite certain that the RCMP would have told you that a stage at Spirit Square would quickly become the gathering place of choice and further amplify the policing challenges at that location. In addition, the proposed stage/ceremony space would significantly reduce the space available for the farmers market and food vendors. It appears that the Stantec plan is actually suited for an urban location with limited options. However, Fort St. James already has a stage hosting events that celebrate the arts, culture and heritage, at Cottonwood Park, and if one wants lakeshore access they will go to Cottonwood Beach rather than descending a steep footpath at the Spirit Square site to reach the edge of the lake. We could, and should, upgrade the existing stage at Cottonwood Park and add some form of outdoor theater seating there instead of building another stage at Spirit Square. The one other issue I have with the concept plan is the relocation of the community garden from behind the district office to the Spirit Square site. I'm not sure who came up with this idea, but it's a bad one. The community garden is currently located in a semi-isolated, not-so-public location, and as a result, theft and vandalism there is manageable. If the garden is moved to such a high-traffic, highly visible public location as proposed in the concept plan, there will be constant damage to the garden. Those using the garden will quickly lose interest and ultimately abandon it. If this is council's way of getting rid of the community garden, it is certain to work. It is already abundantly clear that there are those in our community who for many reasons do not share council's vision for the Spirit Square site, and as the full details of the district's concept plan become more widely known, I have no doubt that others who do not agree that the district should spend $3,500,000 on this site will come forward. A town hall meeting to explain to the public what council hoped to achieve at the Spirit Square site should have been held prior to purchasing the adjacent property or incurring the significant cost of the Stantec concept plan. Pressure to hold such a meeting now will only increase in the weeks ahead, and I would suggest that it is highly unlikely that council will be reviewing and adopting this plan on January 31, 2025. I will end with a final comment from Facebook. Rick Shepper. Maybe it would be a good idea to have a vote and see how taxpayers would like to have their tax dollars spent before hiring a design team. Just a thought. Bob, motion cell 250-996-3752.